And it's so hard to say no to people. I heard a great definition of a boundary, like a personal, interpersonal boundary. It is the minimum distance between you and me that enables me to remain me, but also enables us to stay connected. The minimum distance, but a distance is required. If there's no distance, then it gets into what we call codependency, where I forget myself. Because there could be a good way in which I forget myself, and I'm really focused in a self-sacrificial free gift of love to the other. Okay, that's good. But when it becomes this like, oh my gosh, you're my everything. I don't know how I lived without you. Okay, all that could be good. But when it gets to this place of, I don't have identity and worth except whatever you have. So I suddenly, it's not about my hobbies. I just want to know what you love and I just want to do that. Have you ever gone out with somebody and we're like, okay, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, I have a couple of things I'd like to do, but I'm really curious. Like, what's your preferences? And they're like, whatever you'd like to do. I don't bring my preferences, my desires, my opinions to the table. I can totally overly defer to the other person. Big one could be fear of rejection. It's like, well, if I bring the real me, or what if they don't like my opinions? What if I want to go to the Italian restaurant and they hate the Italian restaurant? They want to go to McDonald's. We're like, oh, this is never going to work out. So just want to be really agreeable and people please. That is a problem. That's the thing where the minimum distance disappears into no distance. And I let go of who I am and the things that identify uniquely me. And it just all becomes about you. But then it's not a balanced relationship because I'm not bringing me to the relationship because I'm afraid I'm hiding me. It actually gets into lying, doesn't it? So you ask me what I want. And I have a preference, but I'm like, no, whatever, I don't care. But if I really went digging, it's like, no, you have a preference. But you're saying you don't have a preference, but you do. That's called a lie. But if I don't really bring myself in my uniqueness, then I'm not giving you the opportunity to see me, know me, or love me. The goal is not to avoid being hurt. The goal of all this stuff is loving connection. How do I do that well? Okay, so boundaries are a tool to help me get loving, healthy connection. And I can wonder, like I could be so afraid of rejection, I don't bring myself, but then I'm not getting loved, so I'm starving myself to death. And I can't, I'm like stuck in this weird place. Have you ever felt that one? Sometimes this could be the issue. So let your yes be yes and your no be no. Is what Jesus said about this. If I don't own my no, meaning if I'm not able to say, no, I'm not able to do this, then my yes means nothing. Because I'm just people pleasing you. I'm not loving, I'm not being of service and generosity. I'm not doing that. I'm doing it because I'm afraid you're going to reject me. I'm afraid that I'm not a lovable person. I'm not a good person. I'm not whatever, because unless I say yes to everything you say. Guys, that is an absolute travesty. That is something to be avoided at all costs. And this has been something I've had to grow in. Of being able to say no. People ask me to do things all the time. People ask me, oh, Father, could you come and speak to such and such a group? I say, well, I'll pray about it and get back to you. I have to discern it. Now, people pleasing can seem terribly holy, very holy, Father, and seem very loving, but it's not. It's a big lie. People pleasing is not equal to love. Okay? Sometimes the most loving thing you can say to somebody is, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And it's so hard to say no to people. But if I don't say no, it's like, let's say in discernment, I got a no. It's like, well, I'm going to have to, message them back and say, I'm so sorry, I'm not able to do that. Most people are like, okay. But for a long time, that was so hard for me. I couldn't even hear a clear discernment when I'd pray about it. Why? Because I didn't want to hear God say no, because I couldn't bear to say no to this person. Because if I said no to somebody, I would feel like I wasn't good and lovable. So usually I would just procrastinate. Have you ever done that one? And they'll contact me and it's like, oh, Father, could you get back to us? But can you do the thing or not? Just tell us. Either way, I'm like, yeah. So then I would just let it go and go and go and go until the very last minute. I'm like, well, I have to do it now because I can't throw them under the bus and leave them with nobody. So I'd throw me under the bus. I was like, I can't. This is going to be really hard for me to do, but I'm going to do it. You're like, and it's not generous, it's not loving, it's not peaceful, it's not spirit-filled, it's a disaster. Because bad boundaries. It's really okay. Even if that person is super annoyed at me because I say no, that's actually their problem. That's not my problem. They have a problem. I have a problem saying no. They have a problem maybe hearing no. That's their problem. But can I accept the fact that they have a problem hearing no? And maybe they're going to explode, and maybe they're going to be angry, and maybe they're not going to talk to me, or maybe they're going to talk about me. Can I accept that? Because that stuff happens, guys, right? If anything I've said to you has hit home, bring it to prayer, write it down, have a wee think about it. A good way to kind of see where I lie on the sort of, you could say, spectrum on this is it hard for me to say no? Or is it hard for me to hear no? Because that's a great test of our freedom. Do we have some boundaries? Am I really in ownership of myself, this gift of self that God has given me, so that if I own myself, then I can give myself away in sacrificial love, right? Just like Jesus did. But until I own myself, until I have what St. John Paul II called self-possession, then I really can't make a gift of self, which is, I think, really our highest calling, because it is the heart of what love truly is about. Anyway, there you go, guys. Couple ideas. I hope that's helpful. God bless you. I wonder if we could get some other tunes on the camera when it turns off.